'Tis the season for streaming on Paramount Plus. Don't miss live sports like Super Bowl 58, original series like Frasier and Lawman Bass Reeves, and new movies like Good Burger 2. Don't delay your mountain holiday on Paramount Plus. When the Chiefs and the Bills get together, it's always good to the last drop. 4th and 15. Patrick Mahomes overshoots Travis Kelce, but the conversation will unfold a couple plays prior. The Kadarius Toney offensive offsides on a play that got to the end zone would have given the Chiefs the lead, but nullified by that offsides. Patrick Mahomes 25 of 43 for 271. Now back-to-back losses for the Chiefs for the first time in a long time. And welcome into those of you streaming the NFL on CBS on Paramount Plus. Joe Musso alongside Ryan Wilson as we try and make sense of what we saw here between the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. Ryan, what do you make of the call?
So the play that preceded the 4th and 15 that you just talked about there, Joe, Kadarius Toney lined up offside was the call. And I think the biggest takeaway for me is that Patrick Mahomes' reaction. He ripped his helmet off and said offensive offsides. At first I thought as he was walking to the sidelines for the timeout part of the last play that he was talking to Andy Reid. He was talking to the official that made the call. After the game ended, he did the exact same thing, and he had a long conversation. And I think that's all you need to know. Feels like the officials have put themselves into the middle of the conversation too often in recent weeks, and this is a perfect case of that on a national stage, in which I'm sure there will be plenty to talk about in terms of how the officiating has decided some of these games down the stretch.
All right, let's garner the opinion of someone who had a good look at it. We say hello to the lead voice of the NFL on CBS, Tony Romo, joining us now from the booth. Tony, anytime these two get together, it's going to be crazy down the stretch, and you never want to see a call decide it. What did you make of the offensive offsides and how that impacted this game?
I can understand Patrick's frustration there, because if it's 100% he's way offsides. I mean, he was offsides, no question, but it's so close. You hate for that to determine, because it's like that had no impact on the play whatsoever. He didn't gain an advantage or anything there. But rules are rules, and, you know, that is just shows you how much they care, though. And, you know, it did take away one of the great plays we'll ever see. I know that.
It definitely did, and you never want to see it decide a game. But as you said, the rules have to be followed, and to the letter of the law in this moment makes it all the tougher to digest for Kansas City. And maybe some antacids are needed throughout the game here. We saw Chris Jones getting after it with his defensive line coach. We saw Patrick Mahomes' frustration late in this game. Kansas City is going to be asked to deal with some adversity they have not been before. Likely a road playoff game, barring something different down the stretch. Does this look like a group equipped to do those new things en route to where they're trying to go?
Well, yeah, because anytime it's self-imposed, I feel like you can correct. If you're just getting overpowered, or you have major weaknesses, you know, the one area is Patrick Mahomes is still on the field, and he has one of the best defenses he's ever had, if not the best. So to me, that carries, you know, come playoff time. And they can run the football. Pacheco was out. He's been running it really well. They're going to be fine. It is definitely going to be the hardest stretch they've had, though, you know, in the Mahomes era to get to the Super Bowl. But you never count them out. I mean, Buffalo, though, had to have this today. I mean, if they'd have lost another excruciating game at the end, just emotionally, I don't know that you can really overcome that again.
And Tony, you talked about it on the broadcast. A lot of static in Buffalo throughout this week, going into one of the toughest matchups in the midst of one of the toughest stretches on any schedule. The way they responded for one another, for the head coach, whatever the reason may have been. I mean, you were the one holding out hope. You were sitting on this very show telling us, don't count out Buffalo just yet. Arrow pointing back up after this one. Where have you seen the growth in this last month or so?
I think the biggest thing was the coordinator change. Just Josh Allen is playing better football. He's playing more systematic. He's getting to his backs quicker, and he doesn't have to, you know, put the Superman cape on over and over and over again. You know, they have a really good pulse of when, you know, to utilize his legs and things. So to me, though, they're a very deep football team, and if they can stay injury-free, you know, they can run the football. Josh Allen is great on third down. You know, teams have tried to take away Diggs, and they're finding Kincaid's getting it, and Cook is being used a lot more. That's going to open up digs in the future here over the next few weeks. They're going to be tough to beat. I mean, they're playing as well as anybody. Their point differential we talked about, nobody since 1950 was over 100. Like, they've won by over 100 points if you added up all the games, and they were 6-6. That's unheard of. So I think they just need to find ways to win these games that were close at the end. When they start doing that, their confidence will grow.
We love good on good, and we got good on good in KC. Tony Romo, always good being with you.
You guys too.
All right, conversation continuing here on CBS Sports HQ. Ryan Wilson back in studio. Ryan, you hear Tony's point of view here on both sides of this, and I want to pose that same question to you because this is a different exercise for the Kansas City Chiefs than the one they and we are used to watching. Do you think that this team, through different bits of adversity, now relative to adversity across the league, they got their quarterback, as Tony said, you know, they got some pieces around him, no doubt, but do you think that the frustration can be too much to overcome for a team at this point in the season who now only holds a game lead in the division over the Denver Broncos?
No, and I think it starts with Andy Reid, and I think it follows with Patrick Mahomes. Because you talked about it with Tony, the concerns coming into this week for a Bills team that had so much off-field goings-on, focused on their head coach, who at times seems tight on the sidelines, and we've seen sort of the intensity with which he coaches. You don't get that sense from Andy Reid, who always appears to be in control, and having Patrick Mahomes certainly helps that. The biggest issue with this team, and Tony mentioned that the defense is the best one that Patrick Mahomes has had. If you can get the playmakers to catch the passes consistently and avoid the boneheaded mistakes like from what we saw from Kadarius Toney, which is eminently fixable, you know how to line up on sides. You've done that much of your football playing career, you would imagine. I think this team is fine. I would have been much more concerned had the Bills lost this game. Their record would have been a little bit worse, no doubt. But in terms of the pressure and overcoming the pressure with all they've dealt with, I have no such issues with the Chiefs.
If that touchdown holds, if they don't flag the offsides, if Kadarius Toney wears a size 11 and not 11.5, we're sitting here talking about how the wide receivers had a better day for this offense.
Travis Kelce had a good game.
And there are likely better days ahead for the Kansas City Chiefs. But this day belonged to the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, 20-17, the final. Most games with a passing and rushing touchdown in a season. Josh Allen matching Kyler Murray from 2020, now with 9 and games to play. Hey, Josh, can you do it?
Shout out Steve Grogan.
You better be able to. More coming on Game Day Scoreboard. Highlights and, well, reaction. Certainly Patrick Mahomes will have one.